Okay, so today we're going to dive into, the passing of Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
He was 65 when he passed recently, and
Yeah.
we've got this podcast script that is going to guide us as we try to kind of figure out what made him such a compelling and memorable presence in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the roles that he played, right? It's just the whole impact.
And I think, even just what you mentioned right at the top.
Yeah.
Jim Morrison, Iceman, Batman. I mean, that's an incredible range.
Okay.
Even just right there. And it makes you sort of think, okay, well, what was the underlying ability that allowed for this transformation? It wasn't just putting on a costume. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And think about the intensity that would be required to even attempt to embody someone as iconic and volatile as Jim Morrison.
Right.
And the Doors, and reportedly he sang all those vocals himself.
Yeah, yeah.
And that level of commitment speaks volumes. I mean, that's not just acting, that's almost like channeling the spirit of this person.
Right.
And then you pivot to like the laconic cool of Iceman in Top Gun.
Right.
And you're talking about two completely different universes of character.
Yeah. And it's really fascinating how an actor even navigates those kinds of choices.
Right.
It can't just be talent. It has to be something about the choices they make, their dedication to understanding the core of the character. And, even when you mentioned like that weight that he brought to a line, as seemingly simple as "I'm your Huckleberry" as Doc Holliday in Tombstone. Yeah. It shows like a profound understanding of the character's quiet intensity. It's like it became instantly iconic because of that underlying depth,
Okay, so let's dig into that reported singing for the Doors a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, what does that kind of full immersion suggest about his approach to acting? Was that common for actors to go to that?
I don't think that was necessarily the norm, and I think it speaks to a particular approach to character development.
Right.
For some actors, it's the externals, right?
Right.
The costume, the makeup, that's the entry point.
Yeah.
For others, it seems like Kilmer, it was about finding the internal rhythm, the voice, the very essence of this person that they're portraying. And, to sing the vocals, it's not about hitting the notes.
Right.
It's about understanding the emotion and the intent behind the music, which then informs the performance as a whole.
Right. It's about going beyond the imitation. It's like embodiment.
Yeah, exactly.
So the script then takes us through kind of his early career.
Okay.
And we see him kind of breaking out in the 80s with real genius.
Right.
And of course, the huge cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
That's Top Gun.
Right.
What did those early roles tell us about the kind of actor he was becoming?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is even in those earlier, maybe less complex roles, you could see a certain spark. In Real Genius, there was a comedic timing and like an intellectual curiosity that shone through.
Right.
Top Gun, while being, a big action film, allowed him to create a character in Iceman.
Right.
That was more than just the antagonist.
Yeah.
There was a coolness and a competence that made him a very compelling presence.
Yeah.
So I think those early films, they established his range.
Right.
Even if the full depth wasn't quite apparent yet.
And from those early successes, the script highlights a move toward more challenging roles.
Okay.
We're talking The Saint, where he was a master of disguise.
Right.
And then the gritty intensity of Heat.
Yeah.
These seem like conscious choices to stretch his abilities.
Absolutely. After that initial burst of fame, some actors might choose to stay within a comfortable niche, but Kilmer seemed intent on exploring, different facets of his craft.
Yeah.
The Saint requiring him to inhabit multiple personas was a really significant undertaking.
Yeah.
And in Heat, sharing the screen with De Niro and Pacino, in this serious crime drama, really showcased his ability to hold his own with acting titans.
Right.
And so it suggests an ambition, beyond just being a movie star. He wanted to be a respected actor.
And of course came Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Massive mainstream exposure.
Yeah.
The script mentions that he later felt the role was creatively restrictive. What can we infer from that perspective?
Yeah, that brings up a really crucial point about like the trade-offs involved in big studio filmmaking.
Right.
A role like Batman, offers unparalleled visibility and financial rewards.
Yeah.
But it also comes with a certain set of expectations and limitations.
Right.
And for an actor with a strong artistic vision, those limitations can feel really stifling.
Yeah.
And I think, his later reflections on it suggest that
Yeah.
the desire for creative freedom ultimately outweighed the benefits
Right.
of that kind of mainstream fame.
Yeah.
It raises the question of what truly fulfills an artist.
The script then shifts gears
Yeah.
to the significant challenges he faced later in life with throat cancer
Yeah.
and how that impacted his voice.
Yeah.
Yet he continued to create, releasing his memoir, I'm Your Huckleberry,
Right.
and being the subject of the documentary, Val.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's remarkable resilience.
It truly is, to face such a profound challenge to one's physical instrument, especially for an actor whose voice is so integral to their craft, and yet to find new ways to express himself speaks to an incredible dedication. The memoir and the documentary offered a different kind of performance, a more direct and personal sharing of his experiences and his inner world.
Yeah.
It shows an artist who refuses to be silenced.
And the outpouring of respect from his peers, like Tom Cruise and Kurt Russell, really underscores the impact he had within the industry.
Yeah.
They talk about his brilliance and his commitment.
And when fellow actors, especially of that caliber, speak so highly of someone, it carries a lot of weight.
Right.
And I think it suggests not only a respect for his talent, but also for his work ethic and the kind of presence he brought to a set.
Right.
Committed is a key word there. I think it reinforces that idea that he wasn't just going through the motions. He was deeply invested in his work.
So looking back over his career, we see this arc from the energetic beginnings in the 80s.
Yeah.
Through those intense and varied roles, the brush with mega fame, and then his continued creative output in the face of adversity. It's a pretty compelling story.
Absolutely. And if we think about his legacy, I think it seems to be one of an actor who wasn't afraid to take risks, to push himself creatively, and to prioritize, the depth of his characters, even within mainstream films. He often brought a level of intensity and nuance that really elevated the material.
The script ends by suggesting that you, the listener, might want to revisit one of his films.
Okay.
Maybe The Doors' Tombstone, or even Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah.
It's a tangible way to connect with his artistry.
That's a powerful way to remember an actor.
Yeah.
Their work endures, and by engaging with it, we can continue to appreciate their contributions and perhaps even discover, new layers in their performances.
Right.
Each viewing can be a new experience, especially knowing the journey that he went through.
So as you reflect on Val Kilmer's career, think about that incredible range he displayed.
Yeah.
The intense dedication he brought to each role and the resilience he showed.
And consider the unique mark he left on cinema through his commitment to character and his willingness to explore the complexities of the human experience on screen.
Yeah. Maybe take some time tonight to revisit one of those films.
Yeah.
Immerse yourself in his work and experience firsthand what made Val Kilmer such a distinctive and unforgettable presence in Hollywood.
Right.
It's a great way to honor his memory.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.